LimeVibe, komm let me lime, komm let me vibe. LimeVibe, komm let me lime, komm let me vibe. LimeVibe, oh, LimeVibe.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to another LimeVibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yuri Arman Kemp, here from the beautiful islands of Nassau, Bahamas. New Providence, I should say. Nassau is the city. New Providence is the actual island in the Bahamas. And thank you for joining me again for another LimeVibe Live podcast. Please, if you have not done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. That's LimeVibe77. That's LimeVibe77 on Facebook and YouTube. We also have a Twitter page as well, LimeVibe77, same thing. So please like, share, and subscribe to our page. It really helps us to keep the movement going. It really helps this message to get out to our algorithms. That helps people actually see what we're doing over here in the Caribbean. And also, there's a donate link inside the description. There's a donate link inside the description. So anything that moves your heart to give to the LimeVibe Live podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And we thank you for joining us here tonight. So we got a few topics to talk about tonight. Now, a few things to chop up tonight. The first thing, this situation in Guatemala, the presidential transition between President-elect Bernardo Aravelo from outgoing President Giammattei in Guatemala. Apparently, the Giammattei outgoing administration, they have launched investigations into the presidential election that saw Aravelo just come out of nowhere and win the presidential elections over the crowd favorite, Ms. Sandra Torres, the former First Lady of Guatemala. And so it's getting real messy in Guatemala right now. Okay, it's getting real messy. Apparently, they're kind of upset because Aravelo, he leans more to the left. He's not a right-wing by any stretch of the imagination. He's also violent against corruption. But he came up out of nowhere because the polls really weren't talking about Aravelo. Even 6 months before the election, he was like an unknown. He had swept out of nowhere. And just took over from everybody else, and then he beat the crowd favorite, which was Sandra Torres, the former First Lady of Guatemala. So, people are really pissed, right? Because they had all their hopes pinned, the media in particular, the mainstream media, had all their hopes pinned on Sandra Torres, and she got thoroughly trounced in the second runoffs. I mean, it wasn't even close. All right, so now we have a president-elect in Bernardo Aravelo, and right now, because of the investigations into the tampered ballot boxes, so the outgoing Giammattei government is saying he has suspended his transition between the Giammattei government and his new incoming government. So he doesn't want to participate in this at all. All right, and he's essentially just disavowing himself from any kind of activity that goes along with the presidential transition in Guatemala. And do you blame him, really? Because why would you participate in something that's going to bring your administration harm? Going to bring you down, Why didn't the Giammattei government actually look into this beforehand? Why didn't they look into this beforehand, And mind you, Aravelo went under attacks. His offices, his Samia party campaign headquarters was actually raided and investigated 2 months before the presidential runoff. So they were trying to intimidate him from Jump Street. They are afraid of him. And the thing is, while they're afraid of him, I haven't heard anything about any kind of thing with regard to blatant corruption, because he's a former congressman in Guatemala as well. I haven't heard anything about drug dealing. I haven't heard anything about murders or missing people. I haven't heard anything about Bernardo Aravelo to that extent. So why is the government, the outgoing Giammattei government, coming down on him? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Why are they coming down on him? He isn't a criminal. He doesn't have a criminal past. He's a former politician from way back when I was involved in all of the corruption that went on back in the 1980s and 1990s. So why are they so against Bernardo Aravelo? It's really puzzling, man. And this goes to show you how, once again, Central American politics can be so bloodthirsty and be so cruel and so mean to each other. I mean, Sandra Torres lost. She lost. Get over it. Giammattei is outgoing. He's going out. Get over it. You have a new president in Guatemala. Get over it. And see, this is the part of democracy that the United States doesn't tell you that you have to actually bear with and deal with. And when you lose, you fade off into the sunset and you wait for your next term. But you don't try to sully the incoming government. This is what the Clintons did when George W. Bush won the recount against Al Gore. They held a transition period. They made it very difficult for George Bush to transition into his presidency. And all of that led to, him not getting his team in place quickly to assess what was going on in the United States. And actually, reports have had it that the Clintons actually had trashed the White House before they left. When George W. Bush was coming into office, they actually trashed the White House. Now it's just petty. So now you see how petty it is? It looks so bad in Guatemala. So you can imagine how bad it looked in the United States when the Clintons did George W. Bush. And let's not even forget outgoing President Donald Trump, who had an entire protest. He stormed the White House Capitol because he lost. I mean, you lost. I mean, I like Trump, but you lost. You lost the election. You lost. Elections are won on the ground. Elections are won on the ground. If you lost on the ground, you lost. If you didn't control the ballot boxes, you lost. You lost the election. You lost the game. Get over it. You didn't do enough. You lost. And for an outgoing government who had control of the ballot boxes to be investigating the ballot boxes in the electoral process, their electoral process, by the way, they're investigating their electoral process. Let that sink in. They are investigating their own electoral process. You know how bad and how weak that looks? So Bernardo Arevalo deserved to win Guatemala. He did the work and he got by. And that's what it is. Get over it. Move past it, man. Because it could get messy, because I can tell you right now, if Arevalo's supporters don't start getting the relief that they actually supported that man for, his backers don't start getting the relief and the payback that they wanted right away, it's going to start getting really messy in Guatemala. Like, it would get messy anywhere. You got to get out of the way, man. You served your time, Giamatti, get out of the way. Sandra Torres lost. She has another chance to run again, maybe down in the next 5 years or so, but she lost. Get out of the way, man. Get out of Bernardo Arevalo's way. You may not like him, you may not like his politics. That's fine. That's democracy, that's politics. But for now, he is the president-elect. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay, let the man run Guatemala the way he sees fit. Okay, like I say, it could get real messy, because we all know Central American politics get really, really bloody. Okay, it could get really violent. Okay, and anything that's going to upset Arevalo supporters who essentially support him 100%. And he's the president-elect, and he won the election fair and square. Anything that's going to piss off his supporters and his backers are just going to raise the ire of all of his supporters, and they're going to get really, really angry. They're going to start really getting, anxious, and then it could turn violent. Not to say I'm calling for violence in Guatemala, but it could get that way. So please let the man get into his office. Let the transition happen. It's not going to happen until January anyway. So all this you're doing right now, you're just building up angst with the people. And Arevalo already said that he's vowing to get back at the outgoing Attorney General and all his team in the Justice Department in Guatemala, but even giving the impression that he ran an illegal election. He wasn't in charge of the election. Bernardo Arevalo was not in charge of the election. The Giamatti government was. The Attorney General was. You were in charge. So if anyone you should be investigated, it should be you. You let Bernardo Arevalo win. You should be investigated. Let's get really serious here, man. Let's get really serious here, man, because it's just going to be just stupid looking, right? And we have to grow up from all of this, man, because this is so unseemly and so unsightly. We have to grow up against this, grow up from this, man. We just have to grow up from this. See why they have to call Central American countries and Caribbean countries banana republics? And that's another thing too. I said this before on the show, I don't like all this persecution of outgoing politicians. I don't like, the government offices being used as, hit squads for your political opponents. That's not the way it's supposed to go. You've won the election, get on with governing. There's so much things to do. All right. Even here in the Bahamas as well, we're having retribution. Former politicians being brought before the courts. To some extent, that grows pretty thin. That wears out pretty thin, because after a while, if you're not going to get a real prosecution, if you're not going to do anything about it, you're just harassing people. Leave people alone. It's very unsettling for the rest of us to have to deal with all of this. It's not pretty. And they think that scoring political points is not. It's very ugly. It actually turns a lot of people off, to be honest with you. So this thing they're going through with in Guatemala, this investigation of the electoral process that caused the president-elect Arbe to pull back from the transition can only hurt Guatemala moving forward. It doesn't help the situation because whatever it is, Arveo has to deal with the problems Guatemala faces when he comes to office in January, next year, January. He has to deal with all these problems. So this investigation, this political get back, using the last few days of your government, outgoing President Giamatti, using the last few days of your office to get back at the president-elect who's coming in. And he's coming in, he's going to have all the power. So when you leave, he's going to have the power to look into you. You fool. He's going to look into you. You can't take back the election. Leave him alone. That's the first story. The second thing we're going to talk about here is this report that they have out from the United Nations. Apparently 190 million people from 2000 were affected by climate change and disasters, with droughts and hurricanes leading the way. Apparently 190 million people across the region were affected by hurricanes and droughts leading the way. About 53 million people were affected by droughts across this region. And who would have thought drought would be such a significant factor in the Caribbean, in the tropics? But it is, because right now Panama is dealing with a severe drought right now. They can't even get ships through the Panama Canal. And we're seeing it happen every day. They had a mini drought in Trinidad as well, and in Guyana. And they're also prone to floods. So it just goes to show you how mixed up the world is getting, how unbalanced the world is getting. On one hand, on one day we could have a flood, the next day we could have a drought. But they're all connected though, because once the drought hits and the ground settles and it dries up, that means it's hard. So when the rains come, they don't actually soak into the soil. So you're going to have these flash floods. That's how we've messed up our climate. That's how we've messed up our environment so much. Not the Caribbean countries, but the larger developed countries. They messed up this climate. They've messed up our environment. They've really done a number on us, and we're paying for it. So we need not just reparations for slavery, but we need reparations for climate justice. We need them to put back into the Caribbean and Central America what they've actually taken out from us. They've stolen from us with regard to our environment and our climate, because we didn't create any of this. We don't pump oil. I mean, yeah, Guyana and Trinidad pumps oil. They drill for oil, but they're not near on the scale of the United States and Saudi Arabia and Russia and Europe. Okay, they're not near on the scale of that. They haven't nearly exploited half of the world's resources the way those other larger developed nations have done. They don't pump out as much coal and as much toxins into the atmosphere like those larger countries. So we are the recipients of their climate damage and their environmental damage. So we need not just reparations for slavery, we need reparations for climate justice. 190 million people across the region since 2000 have been affected by climate change. Affected. They've either been displaced, they've lost loved ones, they've lost housing, they've been, just their lives totally upended. Lives lost, businesses lost. It's a real sobering moment. So, but another topic, we talk about climate change all night, but to be honest with you, climate change really is boring to me. All right, it's really a boring topic. I know we're affected by it, it's really a boring topic. Let's be honest. Who really cares to any great extent? We're being affected by climate change, yeah. We should be aware of it, right? But that doesn't really affect us on a daily basis here to where I feel we should be talking about it every day. I mean, yeah, it affects us on a daily basis here, but not to say, oh Lord, we just drone on about climate change all the time. What are we doing about it to fix it? What are we doing about it to fix these issues? That's my thing. 1 second, need some water. Yeah, we have some climate justice warriors out there in the region. They're doing great work. And yes, the European Union and the United States, they've started to pump more money into the region to help with climate change mitigation, seawalls, and things of that nature. However, there's much more needs to be done. They actually need to stop polluting. And that would actually go a longer way. Stop putting all these carbons into the air. That would go a long way actually helping us. Because right now, it's just lip service. I believe exactly what Mia Motley says. And it's just lip service. Every time she goes to these forums, she's getting the picture now. You go to these forums, you talk to them, you give them a good tongue lashing, then at the end of the day, they do nothing. And that's really what it is, There's a bunch of talk, and they know they're not going to do anything. They're not going to make any significant moves towards it. But I encourage you to keep on talking, keep on nagging them like a mother would do a child who doesn't move quickly enough. Let's keep nagging them, Sister Mia. Let's keep nagging them, Miss Martin. Let's keep nagging them, annoying at them. Let's keep throwing it in their face. Just keep harassing them. Hopefully, some administration, may not be these administrations that you're dealing with now. Maybe down the line, someone's going to be pricked. Just like how they're being pricked now with slavery reparations that we spoke about last week. They're being pricked by that now. After all these generations of all these European countries not caring about the Africans they brought to the Caribbean and Central America and Latin America and the New World. Now, this new generation, they understood the harm and the pain that it's caused us here in the Caribbean. And they want to do something about it because they're conscious of being pricked. They realize they've stolen our lives from us. Not just they've stolen us from Africa. They've stolen our lives from us by having us work in these inhumane conditions and having us brought here on these slave ships. They've stolen our lives, they've stolen our energy, they've stolen our ideas from us, they've stolen our lives from us. So they understand that we deserve something because they realize that the benefits that they have had not been for us. People of my skin color, they will not have them. They understand that. And so they want to do something. And I encourage them to continue on feeling that compassion towards these people of this generation now because they're your friends in any event. They're your colleagues. You see them every day. You should feel for them. All right, let's move on to another topic, man. a funny topic from Trinidad and Tobago. Apparently, there was a Venezuelan lady that won the Miss Trinidad. She won the Miss Trinidad contest. The Miss Grand International Trinidad and Tobago pageant this Sunday was won by a Venezuelan, Miss Milady Maturano, who came to Trinidad. She wasn't even born in Trinidad, not of Venezuelan heritage. She came to Trinidad about 6 years ago. Okay. And she was allowed to enter into the contest. Apparently, she was allowed to enter. Fair enough. And and she won over all the other Trinidadian women. Of course, people on the ground in Trinidad, they're pissed with it, right? They're pissed with it because they say, how could you dismiss, bona fide Trinidadian women who were born in Trinidad? And it's really a hot mess, It's really a hot mess. I heard all the talks. They say, oh, no, she may be a legal immigrant. She wasn't given her papers and all that. We don't know any of that, okay? We don't know any of that. For all intents and purposes, this woman was allowed to enter the contest, and she has legal status to enter the contest, despite her coming there 5 years ago. And she's saying that no one's more Trinidadian than her. And fair enough. But boy, people on the ground in Trinidad, they're really pissed. And they already have some ethnic tensions in Trinidad already because they don't like to admit it, but we see it every day. We know that the blacks despise the Indians, and the Indians really, hate the blacks. We know there's ethnic tensions there. We know they don't like each other. And it's really sad that they have to share this island with each other. Now, the Venezuelans are coming in droves, and they can't really handle all of them, right? They think that the Venezuelans are just too much for the small twin islands of Trinidad and Tobago. Much like how the Haitians are for the Bahamas and Jamaica. There's too much of them. We can't handle all of the influx. So the Indians don't like the blacks don't like the Indians, and the Indians and the blacks don't like the Venezuelans coming in. So if there's anything that could join the Trinidadians together, the blacks and the Indians, they hate the Venezuelans. Oh my goodness. And now this has just sparked up another wave of racial and ethnic epithets on social media about how could this Venezuelan woman actually win the pageant. It's funny if you read some of their comments, man. And some of the stuff is being printed inside the newspaper. I was reading, what is this there? This is the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. They were quoted as saying, one resident was saying, let's go here. Sunil Singh took to the Facebook post and said, this is an insult to our local women. Too much bandwagoners, hungry man over here. Too much bandwagoners, hungry man over here. This is not about looks. This is about patriotism and country. It is an insult to thousands of beautiful Trinidadian and Tobago women. You think any Trinidadian man or woman could go to Venezuela and win any beauty pageant competition? Set of blasted sellouts. Call them sellouts. My goodness. Another post by Sonja Verderame said that all women are beautiful. However, she does not represent Trinidadian women. Our women are educated, vivacious, glamorous, sophisticated, and independent. That's kind of glasses. That's too much. That's kind of like a deep insult because, she still won. Another poster said, if she's allowed to enter, then she should be able to win. That's fair enough. And she's been given legal status. She entered the contest. She's a beautiful woman. Milady Maturanos is a beautiful woman. If you go and you search Milady Maturanos or the Trinidadian, what is it? what's the name of the contest again? The Miss Grand International Trinidad and Tobago pageant. And you will see Milady Malarano. She's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. And she will go on to represent Trinidad and Tobago and Miss Grand International pageant that's going to be held in Vietnam later on. So, but kudos to her, man. She's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. Okay. And she has legal rights to be there in Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe they should change the rules, and maybe they should say only ethnic women who were born in Trinidad and Tobago should actually be Miss Trinidad and Tobago. Make a rule. Change it now. Don't talk about it. Don't get people upset. Do something about it, man. Yeah, but they're pissed. Trinidadians are pissed. And you see from across the section of all people, you see the blacks with, what's her name? Sonia Verderame. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Sonia Verderame. And you're seeing with Sunil Singh. Well, you know that's an Indian name, Sunil Singh. So you're having the blacks and the Indians coming against all the Venezuelans. Another one, Gerard Nagasar said, any race can be Trini, but she is not Trinbagonian. She is such a disgrace. On the other hand, in sport, you don't have to be Trini or living in Trinidad and Tobago to represent our twin island internationally. But only the Trini have roots. We only have Trini roots, yes. She's at least living in Trinidad. My thoughts is if you can't vote in general elections, then you're not supposed to be able to represent Trinidad and Tobago in anything. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. If you're not able to vote in the elections, if you're not, there has to be some criteria. No, I blame the pageant organizers for this. There should be some criteria. This didn't have to come to this because she just came to Trinidad and Tobago 5 years ago. There should be some more stringent criteria who qualifies to be in a Trinidadian, and Tobagonian. There should be some standard clarified means because right here we allow the Haitians who are born here to actually integrate into our society. They don't have all the benefits that they should, but we don't dismiss them. Actually, our former Miss Bahamas was of Haitian descent. Her mother was a Haitian, and she was born here though, so she identifies as being a Bahamian. She won the pageant, and you can't deny them that. But this lady, she came 5 years ago and just walked into Trinidad and won the pageant. That was just wrong, man. They should do something with that, man. That's just wrong. I can see why people are pissed. And you have people even saying the woman was illegal and all. She came in illegally. I don't know about that. She may have gotten the status. I'm not sure. I don't know what happened with that. But she won the pageant. Let her go on and win. And if you will have something against it, go and change the damn rules. Stop making noise all over Facebook and Twitter and X now. Sorry, it's called X. Leads me to another topic here. Apparently it's a side topic. Apparently Steve Harvey's bodyguard, he's going to come out and he's going to expose, Marjorie Harvey, Steve Harvey's wife, about the affair he's been having with her because she's been talking about getting a divorce. Now I'm not sure how true this is, but this Steve Harvey divorce rumor from his wife, Marjorie Elaine Harvey, isn't going anywhere. I don't know why they just don't leave Steve Harvey alone. That's his personal life, man. Leave the man alone. All right? Leave his wife alone. He married her. He loved her. And he may have known that she was sweet on him. Steve Harvey don't have the time. This is Steve Harvey's third marriage. He knows a woman. He knows how to deal with a woman. All right? He may know she may have been sleeping around, if that's the case. He may be comfortable with it. He just wants to keep his family together. He wants to keep that stability in the home. A lot of times, I believe, a lot of men, they understand that women have been sleeping on them, especially when you get to a certain age. You don't go there looking for another woman. If she's happy, let her be happy. A lot of men can really deal with that. They've grown past this. Oh no, I love you. This hunk of brain love that no one else can touch you. A lot of men have grown past that now. They understand women are women. They understand that women can change their mind. Even in their marriage, they can change their mind. So he may have known that and may have allowed her just to go on about her business without having to divorce him. Because now the divorce can get messy. The children are going to be affected. His empire is going to be affected. She's going to want half of it. So, it's cheaper to keep her. The song says it's cheaper to keep her. So all these people who blowing up Steve Harvey's wife and getting upset trying to cause him to divorce, they're actually doing Steve Harvey a great deserve. You're not saving him from anything, man. He may know that this is what it is. You may have known from a long time ago. And by blasting him out and her out, it's not going to help her cause at all because he has grounds now for divorcing her. She can't divorce him on any grounds anymore because she now has been found to be, having an affair, if that's the case, allegedly. So she can't go and divorce him now. She just can't do it now. And file for, because he will counterclaim her divorce and say, but she was sleeping with my bodyguard, my personal chef, allegedly. So come on, man. Think, man. Don't try to destroy, make something extra messy. But that's how these people go. That's how the internet goes. They don't have any care and any respect for anybody. They're throwing this stuff out there into the public domain. And it's wrong, I'm not going to fix anything like that. I'm just saying, man. That goes for another situation. Is marriage really worth it? Is marriage really worth it? Apparently, the divorce rate in the United States is slightly under 50%. So that means you got a 50-50 chance of being divorced after a few years with your significant other, your partner. Is that the kind of odds that you want? Do you want those kinds of odds where you get divorced from your mate? You stand a 50% chance of actually living with your mate for the rest of your life? Can men be monogamous? Because that's the claim here. Can men only settle down with just one woman? Must a man have 2 or 3 women on the side? I will contend for decent, respectable men that real men who are busy, who have lives, who have things to take care of, who have businesses, they don't have time to have extramarital affairs. They're too busy doing business. They're too busy getting stuff done. Yeah, we're not talking about the outside fling where you sleep with somebody on a one-off chance. She, like Clinton, she gives you a blowjob in the office, or you meet her at the strip club and you have sex with her inside the champagne room. That's not an affair. That's a fling. That's essentially a massage. We're talking about real hardcore cheating where you're taking care of 2 or 3 other families. Real men who have empires, who really take care of business, don't have time for all of that, man. It's too busy. It takes too much out of your life. If you see a man that's cheating on his wife like that, trust me, he's an idle man and he can't be trusted. But they also say that women cheat more. Women could cheat more effectively, I should say. And maybe that's the case. Maybe. Because really, would you know, unless the woman is really having unprotected sex with her cheating partner, would a man really know? Now, I'll tell you the truth from my experience. I've known when, I've slept with a woman, casual sex. I realized when I could tell that she's had sex with somebody else. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And you could feel it in her spirit. And you could feel it in her actual vagina. You could feel it. It's not the same thing. It's not what you left it. It's not the first time when you had sex when she wasn't seeing anybody. You could feel the difference. That's just the truth. Now, men can say anything. Women can say anything that they want. But a man can feel the difference. The way she touches you, the way she looks at you is totally different. You can tell whether or not she has someone else on the side, or you can tell that she's dealing with you for the time. You could tell. You just can tell. All right. Is it a benefit of staying single? I would say, if you made it to a certain stage and you're happy, don't bother to get married unless you're really, really serious about it, because that's the way God intended it anyway. Don't get married until you're sure you actually can handle what the ups and downs of marriage is. And that's what these counseling sessions are for. Before marriage, you actually go and you sit down, you talk with your reverend, you talk to your pastor, you talk to a marriage therapist. I would tell you, hey, marriage isn't all what it's cracked up to be. You're going to have to take the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, the peaks and the valleys, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer. That's some serious vows inside of the marriage vows that they actually give you. When you actually stand in front of the altar, in front of the vicar or the pastor, and you recite those vows for better or for worse, or for richer or for poorer. And with Steve Harvey, it has to be for better or for worse, or for richer or for poorer. But now this is his 3rd marriage now. I didn't even realize Steve Harvey was married 3 times. And this is Marjorie's, I think it's her 2nd marriage as well. She has children from the previous relationship. Because this Lori Harvey girl who they keep talking about, this superstar daughter, that's not even Steve Harvey's daughter. That's Steve Harvey's stepdaughter. Let's see. Marjorie Elaine Harvey. Let's see how much time she's married. She pops up on Wikipedia. Her spouse is Steve Harvey. I don't see where she was married before. Google doesn't really show much, but it knows that, she has a daughter, Lori Harvey. She's the one who's, the superstar, who's dating Future. The rapper Future. Boy, Future's going to put a baby in that so quickly just to humiliate Steve Harvey. That wasn't funny. She should be lucky. She pulled away from Future. Those Future memes are really something else, though. I was sharing them every day. Those Future memes. If you know what the Future meme was, is it meme or meme? I say meme. People say meme. The Future memes. Go search a Future meme and you will see exactly. Toxic Future meme. You'll see exactly all the funny stuff that they say on his bio. They're kind of like the Robert Mugabe memes as well. They're totally hilarious. But is marriage really worth it? Is marriage really worth it? In the United States in particular, and I think the United States really speak for, well, no, it can't speak for the Caribbean and Central America. We still have our conservative wave. We still have people who want to commit to marriage, but now we're moving away from that conservatism now. And we're getting into this liberal age now where, women, these no-fault divorces now, they are really penetrating into women's psyches now. They're deciding, hey, I don't want to stick around with my man anymore. And women still initiate most of the divorces in any event. And no-fault divorces allow that. That's the most dangerous thing that could ever happen to a relationship, no-fault divorce. Because at any given day, a woman's emotions could turn from loving you to hating you. And it's true, and women will tell you that. So you could allow her on a bad day to say she doesn't want to be married to you anymore. That's a real serious thing, This no-fault divorce is the worst thing that ever happened to relationships, I think. Okay? So while we're dealing with Steve Harvey, is marriage really worth it? Can you see yourself staying with the person you're married with for the rest of your life, or your girlfriend, or your boyfriend for the rest of your life? I don't think, right? I think I could. I think I can mentally handle it. Okay? No, what am I saying? I probably can't. I can't take some of the disrespect some of these young girls have, because the young women today are totally different from what my mother's generation was, my grandmother's generation was. They are very disrespectful. I may tolerate cheating. But I wouldn't be able to tolerate it either. I couldn't tolerate cheating. I couldn't tolerate it. I couldn't tolerate the disrespect, the disregard, the scant disregard they give you, because they have too much men. They have too much options, and this social media has allowed them to think that they're this beauty queen when they're not. They've allowed these sixes to think they're nines and tens, and it's BS. Stay in your lane, miss. You're not a 9. You're not a 10. You are a 6. You're a glorified 7. You're not a 9 or a 10. You're a glorified 5, I should say. Get with it, miss. And they've allowed them to think that they're all this when they're really not all that. They are replaceable. Because at a certain point in a man's life, especially with a mature man who's been through a few relationships before he gets married, he just wants someone who's stable. He wants someone who's going to stick with him, who's going to help him with his goals and help him reach the next stage of his life. And give him 1 or 2 kids, be quiet, set up his way. Even if she has her own career, fine, that's okay. Just be humble and be kind and be nice. Give him a few kids, be decent. Don't disrespect him out there in the streets. Don't treat him with scant regard, and treat him with respect. That's what most men, who've been through 2 or 3 relationships, they get to their late 20s, early 30s. They've matured into seeing that all women are the same. That's all men want. But these young girls nowadays, these ladies nowadays, they're all into themselves. For some reason, they think that we're intimidated by them. They think that men are intimidated by them. Miss, we're not intimidated by you. We are annoyed by you. Some of you, I would say, we're not intimidated by you at all. What men are really intimidated of is another man, who's big, who's strong, who has more money than him. That's what he's intimidated of. And that intimidation doesn't mean fair either. That intimidation can mean that guy could get knifed on any given day because he's a threat. He could be eliminated. Otherwise than that, we're not intimidated by the one. I'm not intimidated with a woman who makes more than me. I don't care. I don't check for that, no way. I don't know if you look good and can you make love to me good? And do you treat me with respect? Do you have sex good? Are you beautiful to look at? Are you calm to be around? Are you peaceful? That's what I look at. Otherwise, now if you're not any of that, get from me. I don't like these spoiled brats. And we've been allowing these spoiled brats, these essentially these 5s and these 6s, think that they're more than what they are, and they really aren't. And that's what's being messing up marriage. I'm gonna find a clip of Pearl. I watch Pearly things. Pearl is really something else. Drops. You probably seen her videos all over the place. I'll show you what she played now on a short. Hold on, let me start the sound for you. Okay, let me share my screen really. Share my screen. I play you Pearly things. This is a 30-second clip, and she goes into basically what we think has been happening, and she just breaks it down so simply, right? Let me refresh the page up stock from the top so you can have full glory. Pearl. Yeah. Yeah, you Sims who bail them out. That's what it is. You Sims who bail them out. You know, back in the day, back in the day, women who were loose, we didn't pay them any mind. We treated them with total disdain. At least when I was growing up, we didn't give them the time of day. We treated them like what they were. Back in the day, if a woman had a child out of wedlock, she was casted aside. The most she could be was a romp in the hay. She could be somebody's bed bench, but no mom's going to take it serious to marry her. That's just the truth. That's just how it was. She was sex, and that was it. But now we have these Sims, these beta males, these weak fellas who are just marrying these chicks. And I don't want to speak down to anybody. And if she's a good woman, she's a good woman, fine. But we've allowed these basic fives and sixes who's ruined their lives, making stupid decisions. We've bailed them out. We haven't grown virile men doing that. We have to think about these things, man. But I have to say though, on a single mother's behalf, okay, they are more calm, more humble than the single females who don't have any kids. Okay, they are calm and more peaceful to be around. They don't assault you with their hoity-toity attitude, their stuck-up attitude. They're humble because they need support, they need help, and they are happy that someone's actually talking to them. But these single ladies out here, you don't want any of them. And it's sad to see on the other end, the ones who don't ruin their lives and have kids out of wedlock, they get in their 40s and their 50s, and they're single and alone. They have no one to really talk to, or they've been in a relationship, and no one really wants to be with them because they've spent their lives being total assholes to all the men that were in their lives, thinking they were better than them. And they don't see it, They think that it's being women. Oh, woman, hear me wrong. No, you're being an asshole. You're stupid. You're stupid. Calm down, miss. Calm down. I talked about a lot of stuff, didn't I? Yeah, I know. I go on a rant about relationships all night. Maybe marriage just changes LimeVibe into relationships, But back to, at least let me talk about my day. I got up today. I didn't feel like working on it. I got up anyway, I went and I did about 20 minutes on the Stairmaster. I did my bench presses. I did some squats, some leg lifts. Yeah, that's a typical Friday. Went to work. I had a walkabout today. One of our power stations here in New Providence. The boring walkabout, with the minister in charge of it. These things happen every now and then. You go, you get a good story. Fair enough. That's about it. But otherwise than that, today was a regular Friday. I have a huge presentation to do next week, Wednesday, my alternative dispute resolution class. I'm getting that prepared right now. So after I finish the show, I'm going to finish up, tidy up any stories I have from this walkabout today from the newspaper. And then I'm going to focus solely on this presentation. I want to knock it out of the park, man. I'm going to bring it back to where I was doing presentations years ago, taking advantage of all of my communication skills, my tools and my techniques. I really want to hit this out of the park. I really want to impress my professor this time. I want to show them that I have a depth of knowledge. I understand what we're doing here in alternative dispute resolution. Hopefully I get good grades again. I get good grades this year. I'm really lagging behind though in this law program. I'm really lagging behind. I was supposed to have graduated this year, but because I have to work and go to school, it's making it difficult. So I'm going to graduate in 2025, hopefully. And my grades have not been the best since we've gone back in class. I was doing fine when we were doing the remote class, the remote exams. And now, since I've gone back in class, I have to remember all this stuff. I have to really switch my gears, switch my mode now. I have to sit in class and I have to remember exactly all of that stuff. There's a lot of reading, man. It's not easy at all. It's very difficult. I have to focus. So I means I have to cut off a lot of people. I can't do a lot of things that I want to do. Anything that's a distraction needs to get cut off immediately. I'm not taking any shorts this time. I'm really focusing hard this time, man. I'm trying to do my best. But that's it for me. That's my life in a nutshell. And I work out, work, school, church on Sunday. I may have some playtime on a Saturday or Sunday. All depends on what's happening out there. And who wants to hang out. Otherwise than that, it's strictly gym, work, school, the podcast, Caribbean Magazine Plus, LimeVibe, and then church on Sunday. That's my life. I have a full life. I don't need anything else. I know you say I haven't mentioned a missus in my life. That's fine. It is what it is. I'm dating though. I'm looking for people. But they have to come in stream with what I'm doing. I'm not going there looking for anybody. They have to get in my lane. I'm not going there with these crazy women. Remember I talked about these crazy women, these especially black women. You know, I'm not searching for any of them anymore, man. They have to come there to fit into my lane. If you're not fitting into my lane, miss, you can step because I'm very focused and very busy. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. So, you know, what the hell? Let's recap what we talked about. So, like we said, you know, President-elect Bernardo Araveo in Guatemala, he suspended his presidential transition, and he's trying to deal with, you know, outgoing President Giammattei. Let me get Giammatte's first name. It's like I'm tired of saying that by itself, you know. I guess I can remember his first name. Let's go. President. Let's see what we got here. President Giammattei. Close this. We ran a story in Caribbean Magazine plus about this transition issue. So, outgoing President Alejandro Giammattei. Alejandro. I'm a song. Yeah, so outgoing President Alejandro Giammattei is making it difficult for the incoming president, Bernardo Araveo, to transition into being the president of Guatemala. Because apparently, Giammattei, he's ordered a bunch of investigations on the ballot box in last month's presidential elections in Guatemala. And so, you know, they're charging that, you know, Araveo, they're trying to implicate Araveo in some kind of election fraud, and which has caused Araveo to step away from the transition process and say he's not participating with the Giammattei team with regard to the transition in Guatemala, which is very disheartening because Guatemala could use a bit more than that. Guatemala could really need help right now. We wish President Araveo all the best because we haven't heard anything about him being involved in any transnational crime. He's not a part of any mafia or mob. He's not a drug dealer. We haven't heard any of that from President-elect Bernardo Araveo. From what we understand, he's just a slightly left-wing guy who's anti-corruption. Okay, so he shouldn't have all this vitriol. Sandra Torres, his opponent in the runoffs in August, she lost the election. Let it go. Let it go. Okay. The second thing we talked about as well was this climate change in the region. You know, apparently 190 million people have been affected by climate change issues since 2000, whether it be from hurricanes, droughts, or earthquakes, or other types of natural or volcanoes. And even in 2018, we had the La Soufrière volcano. 2018, that was in 2018. The La Soufrière volcano happened in 2020. Let's see, La Soufrière. La Soufrière volcano in the St. Vincent and Grenadines. That happened. Let's go to good old Wikipedia. Last time it exploded was in 2020 and 2021 during the height of the pandemic. I haven't had a chance to give the president of St. Vincent and Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, the kudos that he gets because he led that country through a volcano erupting during the COVID-19 pandemic. And he still had time to really reassure the people and sing psalms and sing hymns to the people, you know. And he led that so calmly. Now compare Ralph Gonzalez to other leaders in the region who shut the country, who couldn't handle anything. You know, kudos to President Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for leading people throughout La Soufrière eruption during 2020 and 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic. So yeah, 190 million people in the region were affected by climate change issues and disaster-related issues from 2000 to 2022. 190 million in the region, whether it's droughts or earthquakes or hurricanes or even this La Soufrière volcano. That's a lot of people for the Caribbean and Central American region. But they also include, the United Nations report also included, you know, Latin America as well, Brazil, and they have millions of people in Argentina. So they have millions of people. But essentially with hurricanes in particular, you know, we've been affected by hurricanes. So yeah, you take that for what it is. And we also have the third story, this Venezuelan who won the Miss Trinidad pageant. What a hot mess. She apparently came to Trinidad about 6 years ago, and she won the Miss Grand International Trinidad and Tobago pageant. You know, kudos to Miss Milady Matarano. She's really taken the hearts of the judges in Trinidad and Tobago, and she won the pageant. And she was going to represent Trinidad in Vietnam later on at the Miss Grand International pageant in Vietnam. So there you have it. But people can be pissed all they want. You know, a lot of Trinidadians really pissed by this. I can understand. They want to know what's happening to that Trinidadian women, who are beautiful as well. I love Trinidadian women, especially. I think I told Kim when she was here, you know, bring all the mixed ones to me, man. Bring all the Douglas. I want all the Douglas girls in Trinidad. I want every last one of them. I'll scoop them up. They're mines. And no one, they should not be snatched from my hand. They are mines. When I come to Trinidad, I'm looking for all the Douglas girls, all the half Indian, half black ones. I love them. I love them. I love them with all my heart. I'll bring them back to the Bahamas. I'll show them who loves them. He already loves the Douglas in Trinidad and Tobago, the Douglas. And we also talk about, is marriage really worth it? You know, a throwaway topic. Is marriage really worth it? You know, 50% of marriages end in divorce in the United States. And that number is slowly creeping up into us. Even though we haven't been keeping statistics here in the Caribbean, I can imagine it's probably about 30%, maybe even 40% now. It's probably going to creep up as our women become more liberal and they start to see this no-fault divorce as an option for them when they feel bad or they feel pissed off by their mate. So let's keep that in mind. Is marriage really worth it? Could it be worth it? I think so. It really helps to build a family. Marriage is really about the kids as well, to build human beings in a stable and loving environment. It's not really about you anymore. It's about the union under God, letting his generation of people get to the next step. That's what marriage really is about. It's not about you. It's about serving the other person. And be honest with you, can men be monogamous? I say that some men can be, especially I think men, especially high value men, we get painted with a broad brush, an unfair stick, an unfair brush. All right, they think we are there because we have money and access, we have anyone we want. We just don't have the time for it, man. Yes, we could attract a lot of high value women, a lot of attractive women, but we don't have the time for it, man. I talked to my uncle one time. He was a very successful businessman. So you already blame me for a lot of women. I just don't have the time for it. My body can't do all of that. They blame me on. They blame me. I can't do all of that, Yuri. I believe him. You can't do all of that, man. You just can't do it all. And I think the myth about women not cheating as much, I think we understand that some women cheat a lot. And now as our women get more liberal, they're getting into themselves now. We're seeing them get out and they're really seeing them openly date, quote unquote date, which is a buzzword for really horrid, really. You know, I'm dating. No, you're sleeping with a bunch of men. You're whoring. Tell the truth and shame the devil. So that's it right there. So that's the show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for joining me for another LimeVibe Live podcast. And I'm going to see you again on Monday. I have no interviews for this Sunday with anybody. I didn't have a chance to really set up any interviews, but join us again on Monday for another LimeVibe Live podcast. Also, if you have not done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. That's LimeVibe77. That's LimeVibe77 on Facebook and YouTube, and also on Twitter as well. Okay, so please join us and help to share the message that what we're doing here in the Caribbean. It really helps to keep us at the forefront, and it also helps the algorithms to really pick up on our content, so more and more people can see it, and you can share it. And also as well, also there's a donate link inside the description. So anything that moves your heart to give to the LimeVibe Live podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. It's an open donation, so anything is $1, if it was $1,000, if it's $1 million, we would really appreciate it. It really helps to keep our machine going. So thank you once again for joining us for another LimeVibe Live podcast. I'm your host, the great one, Yuri Camp. I'll see you again on Monday. Bye. Let's get out of here.